Y'all doing all right out there? I'm fine. I'm so glad you asked. All is well. I'm glad I'm doing much better than, each day I take it. Each day I get better and better and better. Today I want to talk about a sensitive matter. It's about playing Cupid and relationships. And y'all know me. I've been doing relationship shows for the past 10 years. And they have been hit and miss for some of you all. I don't know what's going on with America, but I tell you, when it comes to these two subjects, relationships and Bible, we tend to and don't let politics come in there. I want to talk about this subject matter: how playing Cupid is dangerous. It is very dangerous. I've seen about 60.
Good, you good, you good. Don't stop it.
Bass.
It's the show that will get you thinking, and where the topics are hot. Feel free to comment whether we agree or not, 'cause he's got something to say.
Sirwalterj. Sirwalterj.
He's got something to say. Sirwalterj.
Report live 7 days a week, always on time, but this time is not free. Sirwalterj, always on fleek. Latest trending topics, how you jumping out your seat.
He's got something to say.
Come on in. The water's fine.
Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Show. I'm here. It is the Midday Connection, baby. Hi, everybody. Come on around. Come on in. The water's fine. Tongue tie. Y'all doing all right? Good. Listen, this is a Friday, so not too many people will be watching it right now. It's about 1:33 in the p.m. on a Friday. And so people will come in later on tonight or tomorrow, maybe watch it or not. This Friday shows don't really get a whole lot of views because it's Friday. People are busy like I am. I'm not going to be long because I have a banquet to attend early this evening. But I did want to address playing Cupid because I have noticed over the many years, people like to do that. They love doing it. One of the hardest things to be is especially a male content creator. It's hard for us. I'm not saying it's not hard for female content creators, but today is a topical topic. Male content creators, it is difficult because the way we are judged is different than the way female content creators are judged. Yes. It is harder for a single content creator than it is a married one, I will say. Because you're out there on your own. You don't really have a cover like a wife. You may have a girlfriend, fiance, blah, but I'm sorry, y'all. Those ain't covers. Unless there's a ring on your finger. I'm not talking about an engagement ring. Unless there is a license, let's put it that way, in both of y'all's name, I'm sorry to tell y'all, today might be too sensitive for some of y'all to handle. That ain't no cover. That ain't no cover. Y'all can make the agreement that we together, it's exclusive. All that is great and dandy and everything. But until y'all say I do, you still here and he's still there. And y'all two are two people. Y'all are still twain. Y'all are not one. Y'all just had an agreement. Hopefully you're keeping the agreement. I believe in keeping agreements. But it's difficult for a single content creator, male, to talk about things because people then will push their agenda, their opinions in there, and their maybe false information in there. And then when he's talking about relationships, the women mostly will think he's talking about himself. I got one amen. Eartha, thank you for saying amen. Himself. I give examples a lot and people think that I'm talking about myself. Until I say this is me, don't think it's me. Trust me, I get cards and letters. Yeah, I heard you say so and so. And how long you been feeling that way? That ain't me. I'm giving examples. And the reason why I'm telling y'all that unless you're married, you ain't got no cover, because the danger is when you all, even when you're engaged, y'all start doing stuff together and you start, putting all your money in one account. You start changing your names on this and that and all that. And in many cases, that could be dangerous too, because y'all are still fighting. And then before you know it, it's like some of y'all who put on your Facebook account your girlfriend, your boyfriend in a relationship. And y'all go to fighting, and over time, before you know it, that woman or that man's face is removed from your Facebook. And the whole relationship thing goes from relationship to it's complicated. Where he at? You pushed us into that relationship and now he gone or she gone. You owe us. You pushed us in this and you owe us. They even have cards for people who are separated and divorced. When y'all send out cards for marriage proposals, engagement cards, or wedding proposals, wedding receptions, and all, y'all send these Hallmark reception, whatever you call them, cards, invitation cards. They have them for divorce people too. That you send it out, and you know what? I thought it was crazy that they had those cards. But then I thought about it. I said, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. Why does it make sense? It makes sense because you invited 300 people as a witness to your marriage. You need to now find those 300 people and send them a card and say, we are not together anymore. I know it's tough when I say things and y'all disagree with it. I don't care. I got Kenneth Williams. He got my back. Send out another 300 invitations. I wish I had thought of that. 300 invitations. Tell the people, listen, I'm inviting you to our divorce party. Now, don't go ahead and have a physical party, but y'all know what I'm saying, because they were witness to this thing. They gave gifts, they gave money and what have you, and now y'all ain't together, then you got to tell them. We ain't together. The covenant has been broken. You saw us make a covenant, and one of us or both of us broke the covenant. So now we're telling y'all we can't agree. Y'all don't think about this stuff, do you? I do. So it's hard for a brother like me, to do these kind of shows and relationships without people digging into my life, thinking that this is my current life. I tell y'all things because I have a mandate. I have a responsibility to tell y'all some things to be aware of, because I've gone through some stuff or somebody else went through some stuff. Now, let me be fair and as balanced as possible, because on every show, I'm fair and I'm balanced. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Yvonne Weaver. Good to see you. I'm very fair and I'm balanced. And sometimes we listen to things we want to hear. I do it too. There's some shows I've watched and I thought I watched it all until somebody brought up a point and I said, I didn't hear that. And sometimes you got to go back and listen. Mm-hmm. My husband and I were invited to our neighbor's divorce party. We declined. See, Kimberly Jones, I told you. People are doing that. Divorce parties. I'm for it. I'm all for it. If you went to the wedding, you should go to. I'm laughing, but I'm serious. Just because somebody talks sense don't mean that they have sense. I got enough sense to know that. So just because I talk sense don't mean I have it. I agree. And there is a thing called check the source. If somebody bring you something, check the source. Now let me go deeper than that. Sometimes the source is not the messenger. Sometimes the source is the person who gave the messenger the message. This is what the Sirwalterj Show does. I want you to check the source, meaning where I got the information from, but I also want you to check the messenger. Judge the message and not the messenger always. If I'm saying something that may seem like I'm being hypocritical, then judge the messenger. You get it? But in most cases, I'm not hypocritical. So you have to judge the message and not the messenger. The Apostle Paul in Philippians, I mentioned yesterday, said that these messengers were making his chains heavy and burdensome. But he said, don't worry about the messenger. He says, as long as the message is being preached. Everybody just say amen. Do y'all understand? So sometimes you got to look past the frailties of the messenger to find the message. And unfortunately, too many of you are paying attention to the messenger. What he's wearing, the spot on his face, his teeth might be yellow. He's got a gray or white hair, or he got a patch here, or something going on with his eye. He got a lazy eye and all this stuff. And you're not paying no attention to the message. You understand what I'm saying? So in that, when you call the police officer to help you with something, you don't really check the police officer's private life. No, you want the police to help you on whatever you call the police for. Do you not? You do the same thing for the doctor. If the doctor is telling you you need to stop doing so and so, you don't turn to the doctor and say, well, you need to stop too, do you? No. The doctor, you trust the doctor because they went through all these years of study. They got degrees on the wall. And you trust the message, or that person who is practicing medicine. The lawyer, the same way, practicing. And sometimes the lawyer and the doctor tells you, yeah, I used to have that problem. Well, that's what I do. I tell you all, I used to have that problem. But I am so better right now. And so these examples should help you not to focus so much on the messenger, but on the message. You understand? Because the Apostle Paul was murdering people, and he told y'all this is what I was doing, thinking that I was doing the right thing. He was persecuting the saints. And then you all got the canonized books from Paul, and you don't now talk about how Paul was this and I can't listen to Paul because he's got this problem. He got this. Matter of fact, in one book, he said in Romans chapter 7 about how he struggled, and the things that he should do, he don't do. The things that he do, he shouldn't do. And he already see. I don't listen to Paul because he's still struggling. Nobody brings that up, do you? No. But when it comes to us content creators, it can be difficult because people can overly judge the creator, the content creators, and the content creators need to have his face like flint. You understand? He needs to say what he's supposed to say and don't worry about people's comments. I cannot, and I don't get offended when people come after me for something that I know especially is not true. I can't. Then how weak am I? But I will say that I am human too, like the prophets of old, and they felt some kind of way when they would deliver a message to the people and the people wouldn't receive it, and then it would hurt them. They would go into hiding. They would hide under juniper trees and go into caves, and God would have to send, birds to feed them. This is what happens to us who are content creators and pastors and elders and bishops and whatever your thing is. It can be difficult for us to give you information, and then the people say what they say, and then you've got to take it in and say, well, God, this ain't me. And then God will say, well, it ain't you. Why are you worried about it? Why you worried about it? It ain't you. And then I say, oh, you know what? That ain't me. But what I do is I may address something that someone may think is me, and then I'll say, okay, thank you for your comment. Let me tell you something. This is not me, but I appreciate you having a thought, a mind of your own. I actually enjoy when people disagree with me, because what it does is it tells me that people are thinking on their own. Come close. Listen real close to this part. This is the part that many content creators' flaw is. The flaw in them is that they cannot take a criticism. They just can't take it. With me, I like criticism because it tells me that I'm doing something right. What is that right is? It doesn't mean that I am right. It's telling me that I'm doing something right, meaning I'm voicing what I believe is fact, even though it may be opinions. And then the people are not blindly following me and agreeing with everything I say. They're not robots. And so they will take my information based off of what they may know, maybe their experiences and what they know is truth, and then they'll push against me or they will agree with me. That means you all are thinking on your own. It is called critical thinking, which is something I'm going to bring next week to the Patreon. All right. If you're in the upper room, actually, I'm going to put it on the free wall every day and then push the difficult stuff in the upper room behind the paywall. Okay. Because there's some things I just can't talk about in the public sphere, like here on YouTube. There's some things I just can't talk about. So next week, I'm going to deal with critical thinking on Patreon. Okay. Because it's important that you have individualism, personhood, that you have a relationship with God and Holy Spirit is in you and is telling you that what Sirwalterj Jones said is incorrect, or what Sirwalterj Jones said is correct, or what Sirwalterj Jones is he's a good man with flaws. I never met a man who didn't have a flaw. Never. I never met a man who didn't have a flaw. Anybody? Any of you ever met a perfect man? So there was a YouTube comment that I thought was good. I'm not gonna say the name, but you can find it if you want to on yesterday's show. Blessing to you. Man, this was powerful. I too had a therapist who was mad literally off her rockers. Okay. I ended up having to give her therapy until I decided it was not working out for me. That woman was prescribing pills that I did not even require. They basically said it's good that I never took the pills. I'm gonna talk about the pills in a minute. Then they said, Sirwalterj Jones, you are something else. You said you dated 2 therapists. First of all, this person didn't come across as being judgmental. Before I read this, it's going to sound like they're being judgmental. I didn't take it that way. I actually felt that the person was being honest. Their heart was in their response. And I felt a spirit of humility in it. All right. So when you hear me read it, know that this person came across as a humble person. So they said, you're something else. You said you dated 2 therapists and both were crazy. Pastor, man, you seem to have had a whole lot of women and 2 failed marriages. I lost count of the many women you always talk about on your shows, and still none worked out. So my question to you is, can you keep a relationship at all, or do you ever love any of these women? Because after listening to you in all your failed relationships, You are the common denominator, so maybe you are the problem. You all would have read that if it was addressed to you and would have gotten highly offended. Be honest. Be honest. You would have. Because that would have been the thing you heard over everything that the person said, because it's 3 paragraphs here. I want to address this middle paragraph right here for clarity. So now you got to go back to what I said for the past 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Now let me tell y'all something. How many women have I dated? 4. How many women were I married to? 4. I had 2 marriages. How many women have I dated? 4. How many women have I been married to? 4. The 4 women that men desire. Now, to some of you who are not critical thinkers, you wouldn't understand that math, would you? You wouldn't. I've had 4 women in my life. Number 1. Number 2, I repeat my stories over and over and over again. And you all don't know how many women I've dated. You don't. You only know how many women I've married because I told you. But you don't know how many women I dated. And here's the thing. I am the average of my circle. I was very shy. I didn't have a whole lot of women because I was too shy to have a whole lot of women. So if you compare me to my friends coming up, I'm actually below average. Most of my friends, male, from grammar school to high school to college, had a woman every day. Not me. What I do, though, is I talk about these experiences that I had, and I would take one woman's story with myself, and it sounds like it's several women. So it sounded like I had a whole bunch of women. No, I didn't. It sounded like my body count was greater than the average bear. Nope, it wasn't. I tell my stories over and over again, but what I do is I protect the women I were with. I protect the women I had experiences with. Let me ask y'all a question. Do you all know the names of both my wives? Do you know the names of both my wives? Put it in the comment section. Do you all know the names of both my wives? Because I'm going to tell you something based off of your answers. There are different because of the personality. Sam, come on. I've been absent due to being back in school. I know it is, Edward. Listen, I'm with you. I'm praying for you, man. I'm praying for you. Brother said, I do, but I ain't telling you. I think it takes so much time to work. Yeah, I don't have time to be anyone else's business. Come on, Tina. Come on, Tina. All right. Most of you are saying no. Shantae, no. Most of you are saying no. You don't know their names, do you? You don't know their names. No. Most of you don't know their names. Leonard says Cosetta is one. And the only reason why y'all know Cosetta is because that's the children's mom. But y'all don't know the others. Nor do you know any other names. No. Because I protect. It's no one's business who they are. But every counselor I know use their past relationships as examples of what to do or what not to do without giving names. Cheryl said their names was Mrs. Walter Jones. That's pretty good. Every pastor I know give examples of their past experiences. Some of them don't aren't as honest as I am. Mhm. I don't know when you came in here, General Davis. God do that. He does bring up past. He bring up the past. That's why we have the scriptures. We know the past. Why would you say that? If we don't know the past, how are we able to continue in our life if we don't know where we come from? God brings up the past. When he talks about the children of Israel, he was reminding them of what he did for them in the past. So I don't understand that. So everybody brings up the past, including you, Davis. When you're trying to correct your children, you bring up your past. When you're trying to correct your husband or your wife, you bring up past relationships. Women bring up their past relationships so that this current man don't hurt them. And one of the dangerous things that men do is tell the woman of the women that he was with. And a woman want to know, tell me about this woman, tell me about this woman, tell me about this woman. And when he does, she incubates that, takes that in, and she is going to bring that back up whenever he do something. She going to bring it up. You know why? Because some men do it too. Men do it too. So we bring up the past to help you. And if you can't listen to the past, something wrong with you. Because everybody in your life talk about the past, including you. Yes, they are immature and lack integrity and discernment. They are. So I protect my past by not telling y'all their names, but I lump my stories all. And when I give y'all examples of this happened, this could have happened with one woman, but I give you different scenarios, and then you all are doing this. Wow, that's 15 women. No, that was 2 women with different stories. You're not saying that, General Davis? Well, the way you came across at the beginning sounded like you said exactly that. So help us out, General Davis. Help us out. We want to know. So let me tell you what the problem is. The comment that came across was an honest comment from their point of view because they're seeing me from the outside looking in. 2 marriages didn't work. Can I ask y'all a question? Just because 2 marriages didn't work, does that mean that I am a really bad person? Does it mean that I'm unstable because 2 marriages didn't work? Does it mean that there's something wrong with me because 2 marriages didn't work? Because let me tell you, I know people who are now on their 3rd, maybe 4th, and they finally got it right, and they've been married for many years. They're in my family. I have great uncles who was on the 2nd or their 3rd marriage, and that last marriage lasted for 40 years. And it was healthy. So we tend to judge people based off of their past relationships. And guess what? All of us do that. All of us do that. And the problem that was with my relationships is this, and I've told the bunkers this before, is that there was no counseling. No good counseling. There was no good counseling. That was the problem. My first marriage, we were counseled in the pastor's study for 20 minutes, and we got married the next week. So now we've got to live together with my issues and her issues. I was young, a young man who struggled with loneliness. I've told y'all about my struggle with loneliness, okay? And then her issues, where she struggled with depression and abuse from her father. He burned her, and then he wasn't there. She was raised by a single mom. So that is in my marriage, and then my inability to understand and cope with loneliness came together in a marriage, y'all. 20 minutes of counseling. And it lasted. Now let me ask y'all this next question. Do longevity mean that the marriage is good? Do longevity mean marriage is good? Put it in the comment section. I'm working with y'all today because I'm trying to help y'all by putting my whole soul on the table. I'm sacrificing myself to help y'all. Do longevity mean good marriage? The answer is no. We were married for 10 years, and it was the roughest 10 years of my entire life. So when somebody get up like your pastor and say, me and First Lady been married for 50 years, that don't mean a hill of beans. Why is it that y'all come to church in 2 separate cars? Why do y'all sleep in 2 separate bedrooms? Y'all don't even talk to each other and all this stuff. That don't mean nothing. Do you understand? So people who feel that they got a great marriage, some people, let me say it this way. Some people who have an amazing marriage, been married for only 4 or 5 years, and their marriage is amazing. And then there are those who've been married for 50 years and their marriage was absolutely horrible. And how many times have y'all heard people who were in their 70s, they've been married for 50, 60 years, and then they divorce after 60 years. I've seen that. It's been happening more and more. How? So we tend to look at this stuff with a really bad, inexperienced eye. We did not have the proper counseling. And then when I divorced, I was separated for 10 years before I got married again. Here's the problem. I didn't learn my lesson. And what did I not learn? I started dating only for a few weeks, and then when we got counseling in the pastor's study again. For how long? 20 minutes. I didn't learn my lesson. Probably because of your church upbringing, you got married, but none of the two was what God wanted. No. Yes, Leonard R. Brown. When the question came forth, maybe you're the problem. Well, part of that could be correct, but there are people who marry the wrong people because they don't know how to judge properly. Going into business, going into relationships. So there are people who who are just attracted to that which is uncivil. This is why a lot of women they fall in love with the hardcore guy, the alpha male, the one who's a thug, and the one who's just, he robbing banks, a good man is right there, maybe in her church, but who does she bring into the house? The thug. That is something that seems to be innate into a lot of women. So there are people who are attracted to a certain kind of person. And guess what? They're going to marry him. And it depends sometimes on their parent situation. If you were raised around an abusive father, you are going to probably marry an abusive man. Here's the problem in my situation, in my brothers and sisters' situation, is this. We never saw my mother and father argue or abuse each other. Never. They were always cuddling each other. They were always hugging and kissing and taking each other to places and holding hands. And my father was very chivalrous. All my mama's life, or all our life, that is, all our life, not my mama's life, all their marriage. That's all we saw. My father came home to my mother. They had 9 children. And let me tell you, most of their children are either on their 2nd or 3rd marriage. Is it my father and mother's fault that we married, my brothers at least, married women that we couldn't get along with? Not their fault. We are individuals. And each one of my brothers would tell you why the marriage didn't work. And sometimes we can marry the wrong people 2 or 3 times. Does that mean that all of the weight is on the people that we marry? No, the weight is also on us who choose those women. And this is where that comment comes true, that maybe you got a problem. Well, my problem was I did not seek proper counsel. That was my problem. Number 2, my problem is because I was lonely, I felt over time this person was for me. So not getting counseling and then desiring to be with someone, desiring a family was a perfect concoction, a perfect storm. So, of course, who was I going to marry? I was going to marry someone who was very clingy. That's what I did. I married people who were clingy. I dated women who were clingy because they were showing me attention. And because I did not get the proper counseling for my loneliness, I took them in. I didn't chase women. I don't have to chase women. And being a musician, especially in the Church of God in Christ, because Leonard Brown was onto something here. Being a musician in the Church of God in Christ and also seeing the climate and the culture of the black church, it was easy for a guy like me to have a woman. It didn't matter who she was, married and single. It didn't matter. Because I was popular, I was a public figure, they was attracted to my anointing, and so I didn't have to approach women, I didn't have to call them, I didn't have to, I didn't have to go to a certain, no, I just sat there, and they approached me. And so what happens is then when we get in a relationship and all this stuff, but then I'm blamed, or men like me are blamed for the relationship when she approached him. And then the church then would tell the brothers, zip up your pants. They called you Kojic pimps or church pimps, players, all this stuff. And they never, when I was coming up in my circle, it's like they rarely rebuked the young ladies who were putting the phone numbers in our pockets, who was calling us, finding out what our phone numbers were. And if we went to travel with the churches, choirs, what have you, they would be knocking on our hotel rooms and all these things. It was the women that were very aggressive. My brothers and I, who were musicians, we didn't have to be aggressive. We just sat there, played our instruments, and the women just surrounded us. And so we said, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, like the Jackson 5. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's the way it was. And so then we got rebuked because there were women with us. And the young ladies, I don't know why, the mothers didn't rebuke them as much as they did us. I just never understood that. Sherry said, how do people do clingy? I can't. I'm telling y'all what I know. I'm trying to help y'all. So the problem was I didn't know how to choose the right woman. Number 2, both marriages ended the way they did because there was not proper counseling. And this is why I do these counseling shows. I talk about psychology and all these things. You all got to listen to those things because it could help you. You got to get proper counseling. We were young. So now we're married and now we're fighting within each other. And then, at least in my second marriage, we got counseling finally. Finally. But the problem in my second marriage is that my wife was dealing with a mental illness that I didn't know what to do with, and so we went to get counseling. And I was telling y'all that my the counselor, I gave the example yesterday of the counselor who was taking her side because she also was quite manipulative as she was struggling with bipolar syndrome, mania. And it was a struggle. But I said, God, I'm fighting for this marriage because I don't believe in, I don't want to be a statistic. I did not want to be a statistic. So I paid for that counseling. And as poor as I was, and session after session, I started to see how he was being maneuvered by her cleverness. And I said, I can't do this. I can't do it. The mothers then don't rebuke because, they probably did the same. Yes. So I fought hard for my second marriage. I fought harder for my second marriage than I did any relationship I ever did. I fought hard because I believed in the sanctity of marriage. I fought hard and hard. But what she needed was someone who was a professional who can deal with mental health issues. And denying that you have it is the biggest problem. The biggest problem. So I had my issues and she had her issues. And now here we are again. Wash, rinse, and repeat. So I protect the people I were with, I've been with. I protect them with the hope that they protect me too. So I agree. It's none of your business what goes on in the messenger's life. But to me, I'm very transparent so that y'all can see that all of you have struggled some way, form, or fashion in a relationship. And when you listen to somebody's message, you've got to really hear all of the message. If I was unstable, you all would not keep coming here. If you thought that Sirwalterj Jones was unstable. With that being said, just because a person appears to be stable in many of my subject matters don't mean that I am right for you in holy matrimony or any kind of romantic relationship. And that is the example I gave yesterday, that I dated counselors who were bat crazy. They helped people, family counselors, they helped those people with their learning and book sense. And when they came home, they could not help us in the relationship. You understand? So I'm crying for help because I'm seeing, I would attend some of the sessions and I would hear how she would talk to these people and say, wow, that's good stuff, good stuff. Then when we would come back to my place, I'd be like, but why you don't talk to me that way? And I realized that we all do that. Husbands are just as guilty as wives. I know pastors who will come to church and give the mother's board or some of the single women all his attention, that when they come home to his wife, he doesn't give her the same attention. That was me on some cases. And many of my relationships didn't work because I was too busy working. Do you understand? Married to my work, married to ministry. And this is why I keep telling pastors and ministers and elders, especially if you're married, you've got to turn ministry off. The problem in my second marriage especially is that I was always in the office. I wasn't chasing women. I wasn't all over the place. I was in the office working. And what I should have been was with my new wife. That should have been talked about in counseling. Do you understand? So just because a person is sound and sane and diverse in everything that they may give to a general audience, they go home to a broken home. And look at these Hollywood actors who committed or unalived themselves. I can't, the algorithm on YouTube don't like certain words. They unalived themselves, but yet they were the funniest men and women in the world. Robin Williams, who had everything, unalived himself. And several others who are struggling with mental health issues. But when you turn on the TV, they seem like they have it all. And your pastor and your content creators out there, they struggle too. And many times they struggle in secret. You don't know what they're going through. I at least talk to y'all about my everything almost to help you have a better life. And then I may go to my room and cry in my pillow. And I'll be better tomorrow. A good cry is always good. A good cry, y'all, is always, brothers, you need to cry. A good cry is always good. I took the death of my mother, who was my absolute best friend, that I was diagnosed with bipolar. And we don't know why these things happen, why these kind of mental illnesses do happen. But when they do happen, we've got to pay attention to them and find a way to get help. Get them the help that they need. My brothers are now on their second or third marriages, and they are more happy than they've ever been in their entire life. Do you hear me? 7 boys. And most of them are on their second or third. And they are the happiest they've ever been because they finally chose the right woman. But those of you who are critical thinkers, come close. Only you critical thinkers will understand this. It doesn't mean that my brothers were perfect and their women were crazy. No. But I will say, from my experiences and in our family meetings, we did come to a conclusion that they, like myself, chose the wrong women. They were looking for their mother. So was I. And as we were looking for our mother, we could not find our mother until the second or third go round. Men who have good mothers. Men who have good mothers. Look for their mothers. So ladies, you've got to stop beating up your man when he may make an example and compare you to his mother. That's innate in him. Do you understand? So, the name of the show is How Playing Cupid is Dangerous. You all do not play Cupid with me. My second marriage came about because somebody played Cupid. They matched us. They pushed us on each other. That's the worst thing you can do. You guys got to stop playing Cupid. Stop praying for something that he may not want. I can't tell you how many fights I had with somebody would say, hey, I'm hoping that God will give you. Did I tell you to pray for that? What if I'm absolutely satisfied and content in the state that I'm in right now? Until I tell you that, then why don't you ask me what I want? Don't pray for no relationship for me. And you all keep doing that, and that's how Madeir would say, hey, son, I got my granddaughter, she's single, and and I'll say, Madeir, I need you to shut that mess up. Shut that down. Because y'all playing Cupid so much, and that's why the divorce rate is so high, because you put them two together, God did not. Do you understand? And then you go to the scripture that says it's better to marry than to burn. That one scripture right there has caused people to divorce as well, because you think because they having sex, now they got to get married. I'm sorry to tell you, no. Just because he impregnated her, they got to get married. I'm trying to tell you, no. The marriage is not for everybody. Just tell them to stop having sex. Find a way to get them to just stop. Find a way. Bring them into green pastures. I don't know. Do something. But if you're pushing marriage on somebody because they had a baby, you are doing a bad thing. You are looking out for the baby. I get your heart. You want the baby to not be a bastard child. Listen, that thing didn't work. It don't work. Come on, Jimmy Smith. Matchmaking is the worst spiritual advice the church can give. Worse, don't do it. Or again, divorce keeps going high and high because y'all keep saying, hey, can we do a double date? I got a girlfriend I want you to meet. I'm not going to that date. They try to matchmake me all the time. And I tell them, I'm not interested. Because my relationship right now is private. That's the way it is. Until you hear from me, my relationship right now is private. So what I do is I tell y'all my experiences, and it helps you and you move on. And the Sirwalterj show have a cycle of people who come over the past 10 years. A cycle of people came, they ate all that meat, and then they went away, never to return. And a new cycle of people in bunkers join. They eat and they spit out the bone and they go away. That is my mandate, not to dig into my personal life unless I tell you my personal life. Check the message. But don't worry about the messenger. I think y'all trust me enough to hear what I have to say about all these topics. You all got to stop trying to hook up people. You got to stop it. Here is a bag. All right. Dinah said, private. Go and learn what the it's private. Here's a bag of medicine. This is not medicine that's many years old and I'm holding on to it. This is current medicine. I went to go get myself checked out. Mind, body, soul. Mostly body. The man, he violated me. He put on the white glove. I said, dig into every crevice that you can dig into because I want to be healthy. Because if I need to make sure that my mind, body, and soul is ready. And that also means my mental health. And if I never marry again, I need to make sure that my mind, body, and soul is healthy. That includes my mental health. Do you understand? I'm fixing me for me first. And the problem with going into relationships is that you all wasn't fixing you first. You was trying to be with somebody else and fix them, but you should be fixing you. And then when you ready, then you go into something like marriage. You'll understand. My problem with past relationships was I wasn't working on me enough. I wasn't going to be perfect and then go into a relationship because you're not going to be perfect. But I knew that there were some flaws that I needed to work on, and I could have helped myself by getting the proper counseling for those flaws. And then I could have gotten into holy matrimony coping with it. See, there are people who can be fixed, and there are other people who are not fixed or cured. They are being treated. So I talk about mental health issues because there are some people who needs to be treated. There is no cure for some of it, so they're being treated. And I believe in constant treatment. Do you understand? I believe in constant treatment. I'm not against mental health drugs. Yesterday I said I threw away drugs that was given to me because I told the woman that I was having some issues here and there. She was trying to fix everything with some medicine, and I rolled down the window and threw out the pills. Remember when I said that? Some of you probably thought that I meant you taking medical drugs for mental health is a no-no. And I told y'all yesterday, there are some people who need to take it badly. Those were my words. Did y'all hear me say it? I said there are some people who need it. And then there are some people who don't need it as much. That's me. I have medicine here for everything that I told the doctor last year. He gave me something for it. Some of it I said I'm not taking it because I don't need it. But others of it, some of it, I knew. I knew that one of these moments, I may need it just for tonight. And some of these are sleep aids. Some of these are for possible anxiety and, coming down and all this other stuff. I have the medicine. I'm not that guy to tell you, throw out all your medicine. I have it. And they have these names that I can't even pronounce. So for me to tell y'all, throw away your stuff and then just walk on the arms and the wings of Jesus, that is not practicing proper wisdom. Because some people cannot cope at all unless they have something that God himself put in this thing here to help this person cope until he decide to heal them. I have a bag full of it. So just know, we are not perfect. I never came across this show to tell y'all that I'm perfect. And there are some moments, some days I can't sleep. And then there are some days that I am too sleepy. I'm drowsy. I'm slouchy. I'm lethargic. Is that the word? There are some days I just can't focus. I don't know what's going on. And I may have to turn to that bag. Some days I get sick. I get on airplanes and I get sick. So I turn to that bag. Y'all understand? We all have a bag. All of us got a bag. Not only do we have a bag, we have a skeleton. All of us have it. And the day you decide that you are going to be the perfect one, the Bible says that's the day you ain't nothing. You ain't nothing. So my wish is that your pastor would be a little more transparent on the negatives in his life so that the people can identify with his pain and to know that if my pastor came out of it, I can too. Bishop Carlos Moody came across as being a perfect man to me. I thought that he had no flaws. Nothing ever happened to him. It just God, he was birthed and then he became a pastor and then he was the greatest pastor with no flaws. That's what I thought, and it actually bothered me because I felt that he could not identify with my struggle until I heard his story. I heard his story. And I remember him pulling me to the side one Sunday. I don't know why he did it. I believe the Lord had him to do that. And he began to tell me stuff that if I had false teeth, my teeth would have fell out. He began to tell me stuff that happened to him when he was younger that shocked me. Stories I had never heard him say at that time. I was under his ministry for maybe 10, 15 years. And I had never heard him tell him those stories. But he told me stuff. I was like, that happened to you? Yes. And I thought he and Mother Moody's marriage was like the marriage on a godly hill. But when I was having problems in my marriage, it was Mother Moody who called me and told me, son, me and Honey, she called him Honey, we had to go to a psychologist. We had problems. We were on the verge of divorce. I'm like, you and Bishop? Yes. People are people. And people need people. Sound like Barbra Streisand. People who need people are the luckiest people. We have problems. And we don't just have physical problems. We have mental problems. And Jesus himself went through mental issues although they might have been short, temporary. But he did. He had anger. He cursed the fig tree because he was angry. He had righteous indignation, but he also suffered grief when Lazarus died. When he looked upon Jerusalem as he was walking, he cried. He had this thing that where he sweated blood. Told his father, I can't do this. He had a moment. Nevertheless, he said, thy will be done. He had joy when he sent out the disciples 2 by 2. He obviously had a whole bunch of love. He went through all these things, and if he did not, then why would the book of Hebrews says we have not a high priest who, what you all, who what? How could Jesus identify with only my physical stress and not my mental stress if he is this high priest who understands and who was tempted on every side? You don't think a homosexual did not tempt Jesus? I can guarantee you homosexuals tempted Jesus. He was tempted on every side. I did that show one time and somebody said, oh, so you're saying that Jesus felt a little homosexual in him that, that maybe he was. I said, do you know what the word tempted means? Tempted don't mean you're feeling it. That you want to do it. Somebody is tempting you to do something. That doesn't mean you falling for it. He was tempted in every way. I guarantee you prostitutes was tempting Jesus. I guarantee you a drug pusher was tempting Jesus. He was tempted on every side. Come on, Shirley. Can't be touched by our infirmities. Jesus went through hell. And you all are too. He more than anyone understands what we go through on a daily basis. We have not a high priest who cannot be touched by the feelings of our infirmities, yet in all things we're tempted as we are, yet without sin. Jesus was tempted by everything you all were tempted by. Dinah said, I'm glad stitching videos. Y'all understand? So I'm doing this show to tell y'all that I'm human. And I am more happy now than I ever have been in my entire life. You know why I'm happy? I'm happy because I have children who are healthy. And they gave me grandchildren. I don't care how it happened. I can't go back in the past and rebuke them for all that stuff. Nope. I got 3 grandboys that are healthy. I'm glad that I have a relationship with both my children, that I was not a deadbeat father. I'm glad for the relationships that I have with my brothers and sisters and black families that are jacked up right now. Y'all ain't talking to your own brothers and sisters. Y'all are separated, and some of you haven't talked to your brother or sister in years. But I have this close relationship with everybody in my family. And when we go into the group chat and say, hey, y'all, let's meet for breakfast tomorrow, we cancel everything and all of us go for breakfast. That's the close-knitness I have with my brothers and my sisters. And guess what? It's always been that way. Do you understand? And what do we learn from my parents? That right there. We may not have learned how to choose the right woman. We thought they were the right woman when we chose them. And we had a rocky marriages. We didn't learn that from our parents. They taught us by example. We didn't learn that. But what we did learn is when me and my brothers fought my father would bring us in the room and say, and have us to read the story of Cain and Abel. And he would ask the question, am I my brother's keeper? And to this day, this is how tight we are and will be this tight until we die. I thank God for my peace that I have because I have peace in my family. And that's why I'm able to talk to you all the way I do, because I have peace in my family. So when people say God first, family first, I need to tell y'all this. You got to stop separating God from family. Don't say God first, family first, church. That makes no sense. They all are the same. God is in the family, and the family is God. He's all about the family. That's why he told y'all, don't do nothing at your church unless you do something at your home. You understand? He told the preacher, the episcopos, the bishop, that he needs to be taken care of home before he goes into the household of faith. So it's God family. They all one. And if the church is me, they 3 in 1. So we want to say this first, this first, this. No, I'm sorry to tell you. Thank you, Timothy Jackson, for the super chat. I'm happy because church, family, and God is one with me. And so all you matchmakers out there, you're wasting your time with Sirwalterj Jones. I am content in the state that I am in. And if you want to know what's going on romantically with me, that part right there is none of your, can somebody put that in the comment section? But as it pertains to my experiences in the past, I bring them up to help you. And guess what? It's been working. I cannot tell you how many emails I've received from married people as well as single people, broken homes, who watch my show over the past 10 years and say, that thing you said, that example you said, that book that you wrote, Patreon. I have a room called the Men's Room where I talk about a whole bunch of stuff that I can't talk about. This is the most transparent I've been on the Sirwalterj Jones show openly. But in Patreon in the Men's Room, I talk about some really deep down, dirty stuff. Why? Not for me. For you. I'm good. But maybe you're not. And when I wake up, or if I'm going out through my day or whatever, and I feel that I need a little more help, I go to Jesus. And Jesus may say, now go in that bag and pull this out. Take 2 and call your doctor in the morning. Why? Because I'm practical. I know that some of y'all are just too holy for your draws. So, it's none of your business. My first marriage of 24 years, both of us had mental health issues. Of course, he denied his. He was very abusive. I finally had the strength to get out of that marriage and started working on myself. Angela Townsend, there you have it. When they deny they have this problem, the problem gets worse. I showed y'all my journal. You got to go to the Men's Room. That's where I talk about my sensitive side. And I read my journal, and I showed y'all in my marriage the things that I would write in my journal about the things that was happening in my marriage, and it was bad. It was bad stuff, and I would cry on my pillow at night because I was trying to figure out, I'm working hard on this marriage. I'm realizing now that I'm older what my problems were, and I'm getting counseling for it, but it's not working for her. God, what's going on? And then I realized that she herself was struggling with a really bad case of a mental illness. And when I realized what that was, then I tried to get her that help, not to leave her in that state, but to work with her and cope with her in the marriage in that state. But when she began to deny that she was in that state, I realized we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So I don't I don't file for divorce. I didn't believe in divorce. I never filed for divorce. For those of you wondering how it ended, I never filed for divorce. I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in it. Let's put it that way. What? To give us a little bit of who's special? I'm so sick of you, man. I'm so sick of you. I don't know what to do. All right. I need a female Christian content creator to do a podcast on motherhood and emotions. I believe struggling sometimes. That's good, Mary. And they're out there. They are so out there. I pray that you find that. I know you're joking, Leonard. Some of these preachers going for the wrong bag. They want them tied. Jimmy Smith. Boy, y'all something else. Okay? So, I'm very opinionated. I say what I say, and y'all know when it's my opinion, but then y'all know when it's my fact. I'm not my fact. Y'all know when it's the facts. And then you've got to let Holy Spirit tell you and show you that what Sirwalterj Jones is saying is either true or not. But this is my world. I'm living in this world. Although I might have created this world, I created it through God. God gave me this and gave me all this stuff. And he gave me you all. And so before I hit the live button, I said, now God, help me to tell them the truth. I don't want to tell them lies and false stories and false accusations. I don't want to be a false witness. The stories that I tell are true to my knowledge. They're true. I live them, I experience them, but I also tell y'all that I have to protect those who I've been with, because it's nobody's business who it was, but those examples I use is to help you. And everybody does it. You never tell your doctor or your lawyer or your pastor or anybody else, you shouldn't be telling those stories because it might be hurting somebody. You never do that, do you? You don't do that because you do the same thing. You tell stories of relationships that you had and you protect those people. You don't say their names so that you can help the person whom you're talking to. We all have stories to tell. Just protect the innocent. It's in the past. And let me tell you, this one of the greatest feelings that I have is when an ex come back. When an ex come back, not to be in my life romantically, but to be my friend. I can't tell you right now how many exes came back to my life and they are now my friend. We're close friends and we don't rehash what happened in our lives. We don't talk about that stuff. We can pick up the phone, talk and say, hello, God bless you, I love you, what have you, and then we're done. I'll see him at church, what have you. That is the greatest thing, which tells me I wasn't as bad as maybe some of you think I was. And the woman I might have been with, she wasn't as bad as maybe I thought she was, or I wasn't as bad as what she thought I was, on and on. Because what happens is we have compare-itis. She's going out to date other men or even marry other men, and then she come back to me and say, as I compare you with the other men, I realize that you were more sane than these other men. We still had our problems, but you were more even killed than them. And that is my joy, knowing that I wasn't as crazy as they said I'm. And they didn't say that. I never really had a woman who ever said that I was a narcissist, that I was crazy, or nothing like that. It's just that I was married to my work. And if that's still my issue, maybe that's why I'm not married right now. I see y'all in the finance room. Marvin Sapp wanted y'all to know that he do not do R&B, he don't do secular. So for him, his way to prove to y'all that he will never do secular is that he releases a secular project. This right here is probably one of the slickest but dumbest things I've ever seen a preacher do. He did the O.J. Simpson effect.
No.
That I made a vow. I told my mother, grandmother, whoever, that I will sing gospel music.
I know that I can pay you a little more attention.
These are love songs. And then in track 6, he says this.
Yeah, that's probably how it would sound if I was an R&B singer.
Why you always lying?
The 4 Women That Men Desire by Sirwalterj Jones is a women's guide to men. The author's endeavor to expose men fundamentally with his perspective on the types of women that men truly desire. He has meticulously penned a brilliant and controversial read, bold in its assertion that all women fall into one of 4 categories. Girl A, the side chick. Girl B, the mistress. Girl C, his soulmate. Or Girl D, his fatal attraction. And when a woman walks into a room, her category is showing. The 4 Women That Men Desire is funny, informative, and enlightening. It is a quick read and a must-have for your library. Head over to Amazon.com for your copy.